Hello, Wikimania 2021. We are the team ALCD from the Center for Aboriginal Studies of National Zhengzhi University from Taiwan. Over the past 6 years, we have been mainly participated in wiki projects on Wikimedia, dedicated to the establishment of Wikipedia pages for Taiwanese indigenous languages. So far, 3 Taiwanese indigenous languages have been approved and had their own site of Wikipedia. They are Sakizaya, established in 2019, Dayat and Sijik set in early this year. Therefore, we will elaborate the process and experiences of incubating languages with representatives of these 3 language communities. In the following 30 minutes, the team ALCD, we will introduce the incubation of new languages on Wikimedia Incubator in cooperation with different language communities. Followed by the second session, the representatives of the Sakizaya language team project. Dugu Sayun, he will talk about their experiences and methods of the team organization and project operation. The outbreak of the pandemic has affected every aspect of our life, causing a lot of inconvenience to most people. Fortunately, we could still gather and express our personal experiences and thoughts about the Wiki project online here. And of course, we appreciate the team Wikimania 2021 for planning this online event mindfully. The Emeritus Professor Lim Shutet, also the former director of ALCD, observed that Mandarin Chinese has been widely used in Taiwan at the moment, while most of the editors on it are Taiwanese users. In addition to the official language Mandarin Chinese, there are other 2 native languages mainly spoken here in Taiwan. They are Daigi and Hakka. Daigi are spoken by 15 million people, which occupies 70% of the total population here in Taiwan.
Hakka are spoken by 3.3 million people, which takes part of 14% of the total population. Both languages have their own sites of Wikipedia already.
However, none of Wikimedia projects are set up for Taiwanese indigenous languages. The number of the Taiwan indigenous people are 570,000, which only account for 2% of the total population here in Taiwan. But they have a rich and diverse culture. It can be divided into dozens of language communities, but no one has ever tried to develop a wiki project for these indigenous languages on Wikimedia. As one of the most important academic institutions in the field of indigenous studies in Taiwan, ALCD has been devoted to the editing and publication of textbooks regarding Taiwanese indigenous languages for many years. All of the editors are either experienced or native speakers of these indigenous languages. Now, Professor Lim Shutet, the former director, and Professor Huang Jiping, the present director of ALCD, have maintained close contact and cooperation with these experienced speakers. Thus, Professor Lim believed that the team ALCD has the responsibility to gather language communities and develop Wikipedia projects in indigenous languages. Later, we proposed relevant plans to the Ministry of Education, sought their funding support. At the end of 2014, our funding proposal was approved by the Ministry of Education. More than 6 years thrives in the project. We are satisfied that we have made some achievements. And today, we are here to share with you our experiences on language incubation, hoping to encourage the other languages on Wikimedia Incubator. In fact, native languages in Taiwan have been almost eliminated due to one language policy conducted by the KMT government in the past few decades. Under the cultural assimilation, languages except for Mandarin Chinese were all banned to use in any kind of circumstances. Until the 1990s, the regulation of the language using restriction only occurred when political democratization happened in Taiwan gradually. In the past, under the implementation of the language assimilation policy, students were forbidden to speak their first language in school. At the same time, the medium language for class instruction was Mandarin Chinese. Generally, no broadcasts, no TV shows were presented in any Taiwanese native languages, while people were not allowed to deliver a public speech on the street or elsewhere except for Mandarin Chinese. Mandarin Chinese seems to dominate people's lives that led Taiwanese native languages to disappear gradually in daily life. Among Taiwanese native languages, many indigenous languages are endangered. The Wiki Language Project, which ALCD has been working with different language communities of Taiwanese indigenous languages, currently are extremely challenging regarding article writing. In terms of languages, Taiwanese indigenous languages used to be limited to the expression of narrative and storytelling, but article writing on Wikipedia is more like a descriptive essay to explain concepts and may include many modern and complex nouns. That could be quite challenging for both the speakers and languages itself. When it comes to the writing system of these indigenous languages in Taiwan, it was officially formulated and announced in 2005. Hence, writing in an indigenous language has not been so popular yet till now. With those texts produced only by a few writers, the same word or expression might vary in different spellings, which caused the lack of consistency and stability while using. Besides article writing on Wikipedia, another challenge was found, which is the issue of Sakizaya language code. Without an independent ISO code, the Sakizaya language was not eligible for Wikimedia project. The difficulty seemed to be similar to Taiwan's political situation in global society, without an apparent and independent position. We wouldn't have any chance to build up the international network and introduce ourselves to others. The Language Committee of Wikimedia Foundation indicated that the Sakizaya language was identified as AIS in ISO code, which shared the same language code with Nadoran language on SIL International. Based on this information on the website of SIL International and the suggestions from the other users from Wikimedia, ALCD decided to apply for a new language code for Sakizaya language. At the same time, we sent a request for the code change related to AIS, which it should be only used for the Sakizaya language, excluding other languages. A few months later, SIL International sent a letter back to us, suggesting that we should distinguish the new language code from the original language code, which meant we should apply for the new language code, SDY, for Sakizaya language. ALCD thus embarked on collecting research papers and Sakizaya textbooks published officially by the Taiwanese government in order to respond to SIL International in time. Meanwhile, the Sakizaya people provided a large amount of oral information and the signed petition as first-hand information. In the process of preparing the resources, we received great support from many Sakizaya people and the help of many Wikimedians. Finally, good news was informed to us by SIL International that our request for the code change for Sakizaya language was approved in the following year. With the new ISO code SZY, the language committee then altered the Sakizaya contents from SIS test wiki to SZY test wiki. Soon after, Sakizaya Wikipedia returned to the active list. None of our test Wikipedia projects has been approved by the Language Committee on Wikimedia before the end of 2019. However, to explore and learn more about Wikimedia and promote Taiwanese indigenous languages to the world. Professor Lim Xiute and Professor Huang Jiping, the director of ALCD, have attended to Wikimania 2018 in Cape Town, South Africa, Wikimedia Plus Education Conference 2019 in Basque, and Wikimania 2019 in Stockholm. Following the numerous participation in Wiki events, the Sakizaya Wikipedia was approved in December 2019 successfully. Moreover, earlier this year, other two of our Wikipedia projects in Taiwanese indigenous languages, Dayat and Sijik Wikipedia, were approved and had their own site of Wikipedia. Now, let's enjoy a video about the incubating process of the three Taiwanese indigenous languages, Sakizaya, Dayat, and Sijik, from test wikis on Wikimedia Incubator to the formal sites of Wikipedia. Thanks for watching. Now, Tuku Sa-yun, representing Sakizaya community. He will share with us their experiences on developing Sakizaya Wikipedia.
O kapot atau sabay no Wikipedia. May sato, iniuto haw kita. Chito ko sayon kako, o Sakizaya chitka atadmaw. Ay sa admiat, matali kako to Sakizaya Wikipedia putiput. Musa kamo kako, o bitalak tanjipaan no Sakizaya Wikipedia. I ayaw no musa kamuan mako. Apakungko kako no Sakizaya. Wawano niazo. Izaw ko nizateng niza nano adede enay. May de para heci to nizateng iojib niza. Najikozay, padap ko dito atau binaulan. Sisa malah heci to ay. Lumasa to. Tanang medap to binaulan ciniza hani salikot. Maiza musa kamu kya kongko. Ukamu no ismamatay. Izaw kya niazo no Sakizaya. Adede ay asubal ibayo. Izaw ko taca awawa ci pitay kalalaw. Nano makatineng mihsaan ciniza. Si papalucuk to ciniza maedeh malah bunat tapuko. Pakuniza malah lacal mubahel. Saungay ciniza to malumana apulon. Nani balucuk niza misanga to kakris balunga. Oni tenunan to mua ku pai nia balunga. Yo caca batan izaw kutu sa mihsaan. Itiza I papaw no kakrit balunga. Pati jangan ko no bunat pai. Naniniazo amunmul. Nika mumulan katukoh ihazag no bayo. Atay za itapuko. Amal haji ko niza tengan niza. Maka balunga I bayo ciniza. Malabatat say kari temuh to tabakyay abalios atau cakep. Kinapina mambeling ko balunga. Namahiza. Sikari temo to kukung. O balunga atau nisupetan to cana-canan. O butawan niza. Sa. Mahmin maalaw walasay to nani alawan. Marikit naik ko tadmaw ang subal. Kasulun nitsumod subal no tatay na. Si kalubo to pinaahmetsa. Mahiza, malalit na ito sa pitulik mikirim to simpi, kaya dah metsaan. Katuko, mauba to ko bukas nila. Namahiza, tatsaadamyat, tansursak ko dito no bayo, na maka bayo atakar. Misaka mo cinizaan. Kalau tatengaan, tatukul lekat iso, o atakakay ani zateng, maseneng kako. Ay zasa, apati zangan nako kiso, mamikwan to punats. Ano tau ya adamyat, cipita kalalaw takkar I sananar, maaje ibatat nuwari. Misabalat-balat, patuzo to tademaw. To tuki atau pasaizan. Uta damaw no Sakizaya. Cayan na mga syo caca balbot. Nano ering iu mitsaan waru volat. Malingato patizang to Wikipedia. Sapi bitalakay adipo no Sakizaya. Cayuay caca bataan ilaw kupitu volat. Mitanam atau sadaka-dakayan. I ering ichi mitsaan caca volat. Micomot to sa pakenay kalungangan. O nakawawan no Sakizaya no mubitalak to Wikipedia. Izaw ko 6 ngato atau lacur. Sakacacay, musaw po mutalak atau nipatizang to putiput. 正大人民中心 nipatizang to musaw po ay no pay binatatan. Pabali to sa dimata amisulit. Nomor 1. Taiza cua-cua no Taiwan subal. Modap musaupu sa tangahay no pai binatatan. Patizang to misulitay putiput. Patizang to sapi atsaway sapi cudat. sakatusa membeli to sa tengah mitanam misulit to sa tinunakuan sapi cerilan. Maizai Taiwan 原住民 najipaan kamulalangawan sakutat atau Wikipedia kitakit sa cerilan. Mapili caca ala subuh sa cerilan. Membeli to Wikipedia no Sakizaya sa tinaku sa cerilan. Sa tinaku no misulit to sa cerilan. Sakatulo miconos pati zenga atau misanga ay sa cerilan. Sistemo no Wikipedia sa pibitalakay adipo saw ni sa miaje to pay kamu kawaw. Nomor 1, pasise to sa kapahay kamu itizai sa pakenay kalungangan. Kaya sa pakenay patuju ay karit. Saw ni sa mitadas pambinaulan atau pawacay. Sisa, wiza 1, sa iselang memberi to taipolaita sulit. Matulin atau pasat tejek. Patizeng atau misanga atau sapat cerilan. Kyo matulin kauzip sapat kenai kalungangan. Sakasepat membeli atau motimatau tu taipolaita sulit. Ilabo no sapi bitalakay adibo mahmin 6748taipolaita sulit. Kakaidihan kasiwantanan sa inay-inay pauling taipolaita sulit. Winyan akawaw sa o sasatakayan akawaw. Ilabo no sa pipitalakay dibo. 正大原民中心 mitskyo atau patakar to talakaway tumiyat. Mitasakay sulit sa ayaw mubelih rumah sa muliyaw. Sa Sekizaya sa kapahan akawaw. Sa pawazay to sasatakayan akawaw. Sisa tanang madapesut pahazag mubelih to pauling taipolaita sulit atau namahiza mahmin modimataw. Sa kalima, patizeng to baco asaupo no sa paculilan no panangay alacul. Cengta putiput musikyo atau patakan to baco asaupo no sa paculilan. Papulungan to lalit masasiketay kakuniza no sa paculilan. Nomor 1, malacat saungay lacacay mo belih. Lacacay muliaw musulit atau sangaay sasa kawawan. Miconos masih bekay sa paculilan. Tinako kanatar kakitizaan niazo tatumaw. Sa ka-6, sa cacayan masanga atau mabalot mukawaw. Misayaw to balohayay saungay no kamu. Pai binacatan malacat misayaw to saay katepa to misuritay. Haca katod nay ko babalaki inyazo. Nika misayaw to ay zaay Wikipedia. Naik ko laci ko babalaki. Sisa amisanga to sa paculilan. Kekaidihan sa cacayan kalau cakala cetay tademaw. Kapulungan malah hece to kawaw. Sakasa pauza ay to mahiniay sasadakayan. Sakizaya putiput papulong tademaw malah pasaupu ay cengta Wikipedia mo tapay misuritay babalaki putiput. O balohayay putiput. Sa pabitelak kawaw. Sa satagayan. Sa islang kami memecaan manglotway. Pasisehan ako ko sa satagayan tunyan kawaw. Sa kacacay. Sa kakapah ko sa ungayan dacos misaungay. Sakatusa, tayo polay ta asulit, mangarap matasak utiih matinen. Saya kakapah ko kamu no adiwawa, saya kakapah misulit ko babalaki. Sakaspat, munang i matat anyazo ko binanjatan. Saya kakapah musaupo to tadamaw. Sakalima, sakatinang to Wikipedia alacul. Sakaenam, kakaidihan musaungay atau misawantan i demi-demiat mihmitsaan. Sakapito, saya kau natalan akamu ku Sakizaya. Miso ayaw to wiki meiti kwanay pasaran a timataw atau saka tadamet no baluhay akamu ilabo no sa pibitalakay adibo no Wikipedia. Amay di pasise ilabo no sa paknay a kalungangan. Kakadihan demi-demiat sa inay-inay a nikayata. O sa satagayan no adidiay a binanjatan. 2017a mican walu a bulat Sakizaya putiput malingato misurito pa ulin tayo laita. Kabirir mahmin mobleh atau mudimataw. Ayaw no 2018 mican. Milungos misumato kita-kita abangko. Imalacatay a mican maalato ko haji. Pasumato ko nataulan abangko. AIS masumat SGY tuay. 2019 a mican cai-cai bulat sasa tumiat. Sapa cerilan no Sakizaya katokoh 3600 abaleh. Mikawaway tu kalumiti mangasyo 6 amang. Sakizaya maala toko haji no tatapang no Wikipedia. Tatengah ay macakat itcalay. Maizah 2015 amican walu abulat katokoh 2019 amican cai-cai abulat. Nama lawat sepat amican tulu abulat izau 2500 ku demiat. Malasaka sansan i ta calayay a Wikipedia. Saka cacay no Taiwan 原住民a sulit. Cuma satu, Osaka tu sabatan izau ku walu a kamu no Wikipedia. Izau no mangasyo cacay malubut a kamu no satimulay a subal. Wikipedia tatengah pacuzuh tu ideh no binacatan tu no kamu no binacatan. Pacunos tu ku itzel no sulit no kamu. Tatengah marisimat masamata atau padotus tu kamu. Maiza ayo akungku. Ukapot no Sakizaya Wikipedia. Maiza kiawawa ci pita kalalau. Maideh mubahar itapuku. Pazak tu sapalumata satu. Saya katalau tu sasatakayan. Matalau tayaw. Pinapinasa toko sasatakayan. Sajikuzay padapku ipapaway atito. Malahachi tu ku kauniza. Malah sananalay abunat toko Sakizaya Wikipedia. Maizachi pitakalalau. Bla satu itabuku. Parikat toko zazan no kamu akawaw. Patuzo to binacatan. Matalur tayaw muculir. Hati satu ku kamu numako. Miku kay tamuan. Mitengit takwan a kamu. Sahay mawon sakapahan to ujim namo. Ku kay cucu ku kay.